of seven.
On this best of seven series for
On the best of seven series.
Welcome to the Best of Seven podcast.
Welcome to episode number 19 of the Best of Seven podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Plant from SENS. In this episode, we are watching the third period. Brandon, Maki, and I, we discuss a lot of things. NFL, George Kittle, of course, game one between Tampa Bay and Columbus, which went to 5 overtimes. But before we get into that and some George Kittle / Travis Kelce extension talk, let me introduce to you the newest member of the family, Mr. Brady. Let me get him on the camera here. Look at this guy. Look how cute he is. Everyone, this is Brady. He is the cutest dog ever. He is a welcomed family member. He's a great boy, and he likes the mic. There you go. He loves the mic. But that's Brady. I promised to put him in the podcast, and here he is. He's happy. Look how happy. Look at that face. Anyways, enjoy this interview with Brandon Maki. Thanks again, Brandon, for joining the show. Let's get on with it. We are joined here with Brandon Maki. We are currently watching Tampa Bay versus Columbus. The Blue Jackets in Game 2 are up 2-1 in the game, but are down 0 in the series. Brandon, thank you once again for joining the show. It's an absolute pleasure.
Always a pleasure to be here, man. Thank you for having me.
So hopefully this game, I don't think we have enough time for 5 overtimes to talk this game, but what were your overall feelings from last game? 5 overtimes and then Braden Point with that absolute howitzer from the hash marks over Korpisalo, who made like 86 stops. So just give me your instant reaction from one of the best games potentially in NHL history.
Yeah, it was certainly one of the more interesting ones. It was funny. I think it's weird because I was kind of under the impression that when it went to overtime, it was going to be over pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Tampa was carrying the play. They were getting some good opportunities, but Columbus also played really well within their structure. The Lightning had a lot of shots, but a lot of them were low percentage shots.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff from the outside. So they made Korpisalo's life kind of easy. But, and it's funny because, like I said, you expected Tampa to win it pretty early.
Yeah.
But the longer it went on, the more it felt like Columbus was kind of going to pull it off just because of, it didn't seem like the Lightning could really generate anything of substance and score on them. But yeah, like it's funny how feisty it was. You can tell Tampa's annoyed after last year. Even this game, they've taken a lot of stupid penalties, like that Killorn punching Jones in the face. Yeah. Like even that's that's a careless penalty there too. So obviously point for high sticking there that we can't. I'm sure we can't show it on the actual broadcast, but.
NBC is very stingy when it comes to the copyright. I show 2 seconds, my video or podcast gets taken down, so we ain't gonna risk that. But
no kidding.
My initial thought process during Game 1 was Columbus has to win this for Korpisalo. You can't make 86 stops and then lose. That's just in the mind, especially when you're all living together in a bubble. I just don't know. Like, what do you think the locker room was like after the game? Like, can you just imagine the dead silence? Like Seth Jones, let's give him some respect. 65 minutes on the ice too. Just what was that locker room like? Especially you would know because you played football. So I think you get the idea after a tough loss. What's that locker room like?
I mean, it's different because not every loss is the same. If it's a game where you had totally outplayed somebody, and then still managed to lose, I think those ones are frustrating, and those are the ones you feel bad for your goaltender for. But a circus game like this, where it goes to 5 overtimes and your goaltender has to make like 1,000 saves, there's going to be some frustration there for sure. But at the same time, you can't get too up or too down about it because Columbus is a veteran team. They played a really great series against Tampa last year and a really good series against Boston too. Yeah. So Columbus has been here before. I don't think they're sweating it too much. And it's become a cliche in hockey, but all you want is a split on the road through those first 2 games. So I think they're feeling pretty good about their situation. They just knew they needed to win this game here. So far so good. So I don't think Columbus was too up or too down about it. I'm sure they're a little extra motivated to get one back for Korpisalo, but this team's been here before. It's not a young team in the sense that most of these guys have been through at least a couple playoff rounds. So they're good, man. Like I'm not too worried about Columbus.
Also, on top of that, John Tortorella himself. I think the two coaches in the NHL that can make any fan or any person want to run through the wall is John Tortorella and Rob Rindamore. Both those coaches, I would love to have as coach. Like they just seem like they know the game so well, and you'll just learn so much from those two coaches, which is exactly what you want from a coach, right?
Yeah, and Tortorella's really good at taking the attention off his guys and putting it on himself. You can tell he's a coach just based on his personality and everything. He wants all the focus to be on him and away from his players. So his players can just go out and play. Like in Game 4 when they blew the 3-0 lead against Toronto and Foligno took the penalty in overtime, the first thing he did was he got into the presser and he said, "Don't ask me about the call." And I think the whole press conference lasted like 90 seconds or something like that. And that's what you do, right? But what was everyone talking about for the next 2 days? Yep. They weren't talking about Nick Foligno took a penalty. They weren't talking about Columbus blew a 3-0 lead. They were talking about John Tortorella and how angry he was and how abrasive he was, right?
You can bet your ass that Nick Foligno is very thankful for John Tortorella for doing that because, listen, any other team, especially Toronto, if that happened like Boston Matthews or like John Tavares, the captain, took that penalty, you can bet your ass to this day Maple Leaf fans would still be complaining about that. I can guarantee you.
Yeah, they would be up in arms about it for sure, whether or not they agreed with the call. So, and that's one of the benefits of playing in a market like Columbus. Is you don't have that media microscope. But even when you do, a guy like Torts, taking the heat off you, that goes a long way with players. Like when I played football for the Sudbury Gladiators, my rep team back home. We had a coach named Aaron Real, and if he's listening to this, he'll be happy I gave him a shout out because he's got an ego the size of Texas. But yeah, and every time we won, and he was giving the interview to the local paper, he would give the credit to us. He would say, the players came out, they executed great. Every time we lost, he would put it on himself. He'd be like, this one was on me. Like, we got out coached or we didn't execute our game plan, blah, blah, blah. So, and that goes a long way with players. Having a coach who not only believes in you, but is willing to, put himself in the crosshairs for you. Now, granted, local Sudbury media is not quite the same level as NHL media.
But still.
It's the same principle, right? It goes a long way with the players, and it's something I always really appreciated. So at this level, I'm sure these guys, it means the world to them.
Now, part of John Tortorella's press conference was the fact that there was no penalty shot called just before Braden Point scored.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, was that a penalty? Did the refs make the right call, or did they blow it? Or on top of that, did they not make the call because it was the fifth overtime and they don't want to call the game on a penalty shot? There's a lot of factors that go into that,
Yeah, so I reffed hockey for 5 years, and the thing about the penalty shot call is it's very discretionary. So, for example, where a trip, like just a regular plain old trip, it's as simple as if you trip the guy out without making contact with the puck, it's penalty. Penalty shot, there's a variety of factors that go into it. I don't know if I'll be able to rattle off the whole checklist, but has to be fouled from behind, denied a clear shot opportunity. Like those are the clear, and a clear breakaway as well. And those are the clear, those are the most important factors for a penalty shot. Yeah. If I recall correctly, I think, I can't quite recall the play you're talking about.
It was a breakaway, and was it Hedman that took him down? I forget.
Oh, yeah. I think that one was probably too close to call a penalty shot. I think,
especially at the time of the game.
Exactly, especially in overtime. Like I'm a fan of letting the players play. I know that's not
liked.
Yeah, not liked always. But the key to it is it's not just as simple as randomly deciding what to call and what not to call. You have to set your standard at the beginning of the game, and you got to stick to it. And that's where referees run into trouble, is when they deviate from their penalty standard, right? Something that wasn't a penalty in the first period is now a penalty in the third period, or vice versa. So as long as the standard's consistent, I'm okay with it. This is going to be a hard-fought series. You have two teams that are familiar with each other, two teams that don't like each other. You have a team who, with like the Lightning, who have something to prove after last year, and a team like Columbus, who they have something to prove as well. They want to prove that they're not the underdog, and they want to prove that they're a legitimate contender. So it's going to be a hard-fought series, and you kind of have to let the guys decide it for themselves, I think, anyway.
Well, I agree with you, and I don't think Columbus fans are going to be too happy with what we have to say about this. But I think when you're in the fifth overtime, and if it's such a close call, remember we give havoc to these officiating the officials in all sports, and most of the time, it's deserved.
Yeah.
But you got to keep in mind this is a fast-paced game. It's a breakaway, and it's in the fifth overtime. So it's either Columbus fans complaining about no call, or it's going to be Tampa fans complaining about the penalty shot goal that ended the fifth overtime game. So whatever way you look at it, the ref's screwed. So
Yeah.
I personally, if I'm the ref, I'm going to take the chance of the players deciding it than me getting blamed for deciding a fifth overtime game. I think that's what went through the mentality of the refs, because if you watched that overtime sequence through all five of them, even until midway through the fifth where Braden Point won it, you could see that the only call, I think there was only one or two penalties, and one of them was either high sticking, and then the other one was like a delay of game. It was obvious calls that they were going to call, not controversial. And a lot of people are not going to like this, but that is playoff hockey. Controversial calls are not called. The only calls that are called are ones that are very blatant. So fans are not going to like what we have to say about this, but I think some may agree with us. The ref did not want to decide the game, and they were in a lose-lose situation. So they lost, but it was a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, the last thing you want as a ref is for it to come down to a call you made or didn't make. You know, you don't want to decide the game. You want to let the players decide the game. And that was a big problem in last year's playoffs, as the officiating was all over the map. You had Vegas, who essentially got their season ended by a 5-minute major call that should have never been called. There was the trip that...
To be fair, they did allow those 4 goals. I love Vegas.
No, of course. Of course.
I wasn't there at the time, but they did allow those 4 goals. So it's deflating to get that 5-minute power play. But I think Urinating Tree put it perfectly, friend of the show, that regardless of what it is, same thing with Edmonton.
Oh, what a goal.
Oh, you're ahead of me. Damn. Toe drag. Oh, 5-hole Vasilevsky. All right.
Oh.
To all the headphone listeners, I'm very sorry for bursting your eardrums, but Columbus has taken a 2-goal lead. Alexander Wenberg, who might have came to Ottawa in that Duchesne deal, thank God he did not. A toe drag goal right around, who is that? Is that Shattenkirk? Around Shattenkirk, between the blocker's side and trickles
while falling.
Wow, while falling. That's a highlight reel goal. I'm glad we got that on camera. Wow. Columbus is up by 2 now, 3-1 with 8:33 left, and they are 8:33 away from tying the series. Brandon, who wins the series and how many games?
My original prediction was Tampa Bay in 6.
Okay.
I'm still sticking to that. I think the Lightning are going to win it in 6. But I really wouldn't sleep on Columbus, man. Especially the way they're playing now. They're playing as a team. They're playing. Oh yeah, a goal like that. They're playing within their structure. Do you have any idea the confidence it takes to pull that move in the playoffs against the Tampa Bay Lightning? That's a hell of a play by Alex Wenberg.
The most skilled play I've made outside of baseball, because I'm pretty good in baseball, but the most skilled play I've ever not trying to flex. The biggest skill play I've ever made was in rugby. It was a championship game against Pius. If you're from Ottawa, you know Pius.
Yeah.
Big rivalry where I went to Pius, and kickoffs in football.
Of course.
So I caught the ball, and I ran, and I'm more of a to people that don't know rugby. This is the guy that kicks the ball. He's like this. This is the center equivalent to rugby. So I was the hooker. So I'm not really known for running. I was more blocking. So when I got that ball and I ran, I felt like Tyreek Hill. I probably look like Pablo Sandoval, but regardless of what happened, that's one of the most skilled plays I've made. It's really tough. It's a huge ball to catch that, secure it, and then run. Mm-hmm. But like you said, Alexander Wenberg, that is immense skill. Oh, Corpusalo with a huge save, but yeah, that was great skill there from Wenberg. We're looking at a 2-on-1 here. Now I want to ask you something. Today, the People's tight end, George Kittle, signed a 5-year, $75 million contract extension with your 49ers. Well, my 49ers. Now, Kelce as well, $57 million for 4 years, $57 million with the Kansas City Chiefs. So the 2 Super Bowl teams last year locked up their franchise tight ends, the number 1 and 2 tight ends in the league, in my opinion. Brandon is a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. O.J. Howard, you got some good tight ends there in Tampa Bay. I'm wondering Gronk, yeah. So I'm wondering exactly. So I'm wondering what you think about the George Kittle deal, especially with some rumors earlier in the season or off season that he wasn't going to resign, and then obviously Kelce resigning to stay with Mahomes for at least the next 4 years.
Yeah, well, we've seen over the past few years, and maybe even longer than that, the value of a quality tight end in today's NFL.
100%.
I mean, all you have to do is look at the Super Bowl, right? You had George Kittle in San Francisco and Travis Kelce in Kansas City, both guys that got the extensions, right? And it just adds versatility to an offense. If you have a tight end who can get you those 10 to 15-yard gains on, second or third down, that goes a long way. Teams that don't have that threat tend to struggle moving the ball a little more. I think the extensions were well worth it, obviously. I mean, you're talking about not just the two probably top tight ends in the NFL, but two of the most talented offensive players in the NFL.
Yeah, potentially.
They're impact guys. They're guys with a lot of heart, and they're leaders on their team that make their teams better. So to me, I'm not surprised by it in the least. I think both of those teams are going to look to keep those cores together because neither of them are done winning. My prediction is that San Francisco is going to be back in the conference final this year, the conference championship game, I should say.
I like to hear that.
Yeah, they're going to lose to a certain NFC team.
I don't like.
Just
I don't like hearing that. I do not like hearing that at all. I do not like seeing that at all.
Hey, man, my team hasn't been in the playoffs since I was like 8 years old. Give me a break. Let me have something, all right?
Not a chance. Not a chance. Bang, bang, Niner gang. We'll see you in the conference final, and then conference championship, and then we'll see you cry when the Niners move on, brick by brick, win the Super Bowl for the first time since the 90s, baby. Just watch. Just watch.
First time since the 90s. But at the end of the day, it's like it comes down to offense winning championships.
Yeah. By the way, hate to interrupt you. Tampa Bay power play. We'll keep you updated on that.
Yeah, of course. To me, like, I'm a defensive guy. I played defensive end. I tend to believe that good defense is always going to win out over good offense. But what we saw in this Super Bowl was a good 49ers defense against a great Kansas City offense.
Yeah.
So if you're taking a great defense against a great offense, I think the great defense is going to win. Yeah.
That I think that puts it exactly what you're saying. I think that exactly exemplifies it because I love Richard Sherman, but he got burned in that fourth quarter. He got burned multiple times. So
yeah, but you can put it on whatever, right? Like
I'm not blaming Richard Sherman for the loss.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, when you go against Tyreek Hill, you go against Sammy Watkins, it's gonna happen. You're gonna get burned. Or Hardman. What's it, Hardman?
I think it was. Yeah,
they got so many. I think it was Hardman. Yeah, they got so many wide receivers there.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how Krusty Burger's eating my microphone here?
I love it. I was gonna say I love that shirt. It's the first time I've done a show with you where you weren't wearing a jersey.
Let me see if I can get the back. Can you see?
Yeah. I love it.
By the way, I get this all the time. It's probably one of my favorite shirts. Like
that would be one of mine too, definitely.
Honestly, my dad's a huge Simpsons fan, so I wore it. We went to the Works. Do they have that in Sudbury?
In Toronto, they do.
Burger joints,
Yeah.
So we went there for lunch today. I got a big burger. First time I've had a real good burger in a while. I had to wear the shirt for him, and now I'm like, well, it's a fun shirt to wear for the podcast, so why not?
I love it. That's a great shirt.
Krusty Burger. I can't get enough of that.
In the mic, that's hilarious.
Damn, if you're listening to this on Spotify or whatever, please go on to SENS Talk on YouTube. We'll probably have to clip this on.
It's important. It's vital that you go to SENS Talk on YouTube to view this shirt.
It's essential. I don't know how you can live with yourself if you don't. One timer. Oh, New Navarro with a huge block. Beauty.
Yeah, that looked like it stung.
Yeah,
I am a little ahead of you.
Oh yeah.
I'm on my computers and I'm usually behind. Like I'm usually behind everybody.
Yeah,
I got to turn off my notifications on Twitter and text messages and stuff because it always gets spoiled for me.
Me too. I got which just sucks for us because we like to tweet a lot.
Definitely.
Like, keep it honest. We probably tweet like 100 times a day each.
Probably something around there. Yeah.
Which, hey, it helps build the brand, so that's all that matters. And I love interacting with people on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm trying to say here, as my Krusty Burger's eating the microphone, is that my TV, I'll have Rogers Anyplace TV, okay, or Rogers like the newest one, whatever. I'm very lucky to have that. But the downside of it is it's sort of like streaming, but on cable. So I'm like, I FaceTimed my grandparents yesterday for the Habs game because my grandfather's a huge Habs fan. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
And 20 seconds ahead of me, and it makes no sense.
I know.
And it was the funniest thing. I put the Blue Jays stream on my computer last night to watch.
Yeah.
And while I was watching the Habs with my grandfather. And your TV is bad when your computer on an illegal streaming strike, because I couldn't, the TSN and Sportsnet, for some reason it wasn't working, so I had to go on Reddit for it.
Yeah.
It's bad when the lag is worse on the TV than it is on your computer from the legal streaming site. So I can't complain too much because I'm just lucky to have TV, and I'm very lucky for everything I got. But like
first world problems.
But at the same time, how annoying is that as a sports fan? Damn. When I'll give you a little bit of a thing here. When we were doing our live stream earlier this week for the draft lottery, I had to fake my reaction for the first overall draft pick because I saw 3 notifications and Noah Ludin, chief editor of the podcast. So I'm like, I still got to make good content for the fans. So I acted a bit. So I went
fooled me. You fooled me.
Hey, maybe I'm like Brad Pitt. I'm a hell of an actor. Maybe where's my Oscar? But
because I thought you were like way ahead of me. Because
I was.
Yeah, but you caught me so off guard. Like the balls were still bouncing around in the machine when you went the Rangers, and I'm like, what?
Well, I saw Freeman tweet, so I'm like,
oh, okay.
I'm like, hold on a sec. Maybe I'm looking. I looked at it quickly. I'm like, I don't know if that could be true. Then I saw chief editor Noah Ludin. Shout out to him as well. By the way, if anyone's listening to this, go down to Twitch. Cankles is his name. He tweets, does a lot of Twitch streams. Make sure to check him out. But basically, he commented. I got notification, so I was a little pissed off. That's why I didn't really, go crazy. Like I wasn't like yours was an honest reaction. That's why you laughed and everything. I was just annoyed but like stunned. But that's one of the first times I've faked a reaction. Like my original draft lottery reaction, I turned off my phone. When they came back from a commercial, I'm like, nah, I gotta have an authentic reaction to this because I'm not a sellout. So
that was a good one too.
Yeah, it's funny thing. I went onto Reddit the other day. I'm not really a big Reddit user, but once in a while, people like to troll and stuff. So
yeah, people don't like me on Reddit.
People don't like me on Reddit either. I can't lie. To everyone listening to this that knows me on Reddit, I share a lot of my video links. They don't appreciate that. But anyways, I looked at my name, and you know what? There were some positive comments about my reaction. So I guess people like it when I go ballistic. So I guess that's that's the peak of my content, I guess. Every
time I look on Reddit and somebody shared one of my articles or tweets or something, I'm getting pissed and moaned about. Like I tweeted when Pierre Dorian did his TSN 1200 availability not long ago, and I was kind of live tweeting the whole thing, and I said the bit about him. About Anders Nilsson feeling good and needing to get back on the ice, but getting closer to being healthy. So somebody posted that on like an NHL update Reddit.
Okay.
And somebody replied and said, oh, well, this is a nothing update. Like, oh, it just means he hasn't got on the ice. And I'm like, bro, one, it's a pandemic. So the fact that he just needs to get on the ice is still pretty significant considering a lot of guys can't get on the ice yet or weren't able to get on the ice yet. And two, I didn't give the update. Pierre Dorian did. And people have been people have been asking for months since the season where Anders Nilsson is. So give me a break, man. Like
you can't please everyone. That's the thing.
No.
I've learned that being on YouTube for 7+ years now, 8, maybe even 8, 2013, so maybe even 8 now. I've been on this platform for a hell of a long time. I've had a great time. I've met a lot of people. Like I've had the opportunity to meet you.
Empty net for Tampa, by the way.
Oh, empty net. 3:38 left. I'll put the volume on so I can hear. But
I'm about 10 seconds ahead of you.
That's fine. The headphone and audio and visual listeners are just going to get the updates from you and I, so that's okay. It's not like the SENS are playing. If the SENS are playing, I get a little annoyed if they gave me the update before. But as I was saying, I've met a lot of great people on this site. I've met a lot of great people on Twitter. And I've also met some really terrible people. But that's just the internet. That's the internet. You can't complain. Like 4 years ago, 2016, before the Eastern Conference Finals, that run to the Eastern Conference Finals, I would never have imagined my growth on Twitter, my growth on YouTube. Firstly, that conference final run, I gained like 200 subscribers. That was a huge boost for me. So it kind of sucks that since crap the bed since then, but what are you going to do? That's life. But I would never imagine like urinating tree. I've been a fan since day one. Like when he had 10,000 subscribers, I subscribed. I'm like, how does this guy have not more subscribers? And the fact that I text him on the daily, I have him on the show a bunch. Like I think that's in general, that's the beauty of the internet. You just get to meet great people.
Yeah. I mean, I'm lucky in the sense that I have a thick skin. Like I actually kind of love it when I get negative criticism. It kind of
fires you up.
Yeah, well, that and it amuses me. You know, if it's nothing, then it amuses me. If it's got substance, then it fires me up for sure. Mm. But I mean, yeah, like it's been so overwhelmingly positive, and in everything I've done, in the writing, in the podcast,
the podcast,
Twitter or whatever, right? So like for me, every interaction's been positive, and even when I have people who disagree with me or who don't, necessarily buy what I'm selling. The response is always the engagement I get has been overwhelmingly positive. Like people have been kind enough to leave, 5-star reviews on the podcast and to reach out to me personally and say, hey, I really enjoy the podcast, or hey, this piece you wrote, I really enjoyed it. And I think it's a top-down thing.
I hate to interrupt you. John Torella just lost his mind on the bench. I just wanted to let you know so you can catch that. He's flipping his mind. Hate to interrupt you. Just wanted to throw it in there. Because I love seeing Torts get cheesed.
Oh yeah, he's hot. But what I was gonna say was I think it's a top-down. Shout out to Paul McLean on that bench, by the way, looking just like a grizzled old man. That's him next to Tortorella with the beard.
Oh,
that's the Walrus, man.
Oh baby, what a throwback!
I know.
That's like 2015 when he got fired before the Hamburglar run, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, in December, I think it was before the Hamburglar run.
Yes, we were like 11, 12, and 3 or something.
Yeah, or it might have been 2014 that he was fired. Was it? I don't know. No, it wasn't. You're right. Sorry.
I remember I was in grade 8.
Yeah.
2015. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like, it's a top-down thing. When you have people who are at like the top of the Ottawa market, like Ian Mendez and Haley Salvian and Graham Nichols, Callum Fraser, I could go on and on, who are all phenomenal people. That sets the tone all the way down. Yeah. When you have really good, genuine people who engage with good, genuine people, it just fosters a really positive environment to be around in. So, like, there's a lot of negativity on SENS Twitter, and rightfully so.
Yes.
But I don't buy into the whole thing about it being like this, toxic place. Like there's so many good people, both just as fans and both in the media as well. So it's hard for me to get too upset about SENS Twitter. And even when I do get criticized, and when you have, I'm not going to name names obviously, but there are people who are known throughout the Ottawa Senators Twitter sphere and are less well liked. Yeah. But even then, like, it doesn't, they don't really measure on the radar, if that makes sense.
Well, it's funny. I know who you're talking about. I know 2 of the people you're talking about. We're not going to mention them. One of them, well, I won't say his name, but I think we all know SENS fan. I won't say the numbers, but I think you know who I'm talking about. Yeah. I've had the pleasure of being in a fantasy baseball league with him, and all I will say, I'm not going to say names because it's really not my place to say anything. It's
not worth it either. Like,
not even worth. I don't want the harassment, to be quite honest. But this guy, the way he is on Twitter, times that by 10 if you have him on Facebook or something. Now, the other guy, Colton, I'll say his name because I'm friends with Colton. I am friends with Colton, but he says a lot of dumb stuff. Like, a lot of dumb stuff. So, I don't agree with a lot of things he says, but
yeah,
he's just a big troll, to be quite honest.
I don't dislike anybody you know what I mean? Like, it's...
I'm like Colton, I'm Jewish, and he's Jewish. So, like, we've met that way. Yeah. And I didn't even know about his crazy, like, hockey takes and stuff until I followed him and, like, really started going on Twitter. And then I realized he's, like, famous on SENS Twitter for all the wrong reasons. So, I'm not going to support what he says on Twitter. But in life, in, like, real life, he's actually a genuinely nice person. And
and that's why and that's why I try not to get too upset with people. Like, it's... Twitter's not always a good representation of who people are. And, I like giving people the benefit of the doubt. And like I said, 99.9% of my interactions on Twitter or whatever have been insanely positive. So for me, like I said, it doesn't even show up on my radar when there's negativity a lot of the time. A lot of times I just ignore it. But yeah, like, ooh.
We got 24 seconds left here. Tampa's down by 2, so I think it's safe to say, well, hopefully this doesn't get soundbited, but it's pretty safe to say that Columbus is going to tie the series at 1 apiece after Game 2, which is great for Columbus. Congratulations to Corpusalo. Now I'm wondering, hockey in August. How weird of a feeling that? How weird is that to you?
It was weird at the beginning, but I've gotten used to it now.
It's a nice feeling. Can't lie. Wake up at 12 after like a little night out, with a couple of buds. Socially distance, of course. Make sure they're socially distance. Wear masks. Good time to say it. But, have a couple of brews with the boys and then watch a game at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Can't complain.
Yeah, and after 4 months without hockey, I'll take it in any form you can get. And I was saying during the spring when they were talking about the NHL possibly coming back in August, and people were saying, I don't want to watch hockey in August. I'm like, what's wrong with you? When I was home in Sudbury last week with my family, and my dad and I, we took the old TV from the basement, we set it up on the deck, and we were streaming hockey outside. So I was, we were in the pool having a couple soda pops and watching hockey. It was amazing. You know what I mean? Like you don't get to do that. How often do you get to do that? How often, even in the playoffs, is there hockey on all day for a period of 2 months?
I think
it's awesome.
I think that might be one of the only benefits of living in Florida is that you could do that year round.
Yeah.
Besides hurricane season.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, like, it was weird at first, but I mean, this whole year has been weird. Like, nothing's been normal this year except the Leafs going down in the first round.
You're running for president too. Like, things are crazy, man.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you what I think about it because I'm not getting into politics on the show, but I think we all can agree that I think it's just like, who would have thought Kanye would even run for president? And I wish him nothing but the best moving forward because he's clearly going through a tough time. But yeah, like Kanye running for president. Horrible thing happened in Lebanon the other day. You got COVID. Hockey in August. I don't want to get political and everything, but there's just so much stuff going on, and I don't know, man. Like it's really tough. It's really tough on the mind. Living through this,
Yeah, it's been a hard year. I mean, for me, especially being, 4 hours away from my family. The last time I saw my family before the pandemic really kicked off was February, and I didn't get to see them again until end of June. So that was hard, man. And the uncertainty was the hardest part about it. Cause I mean, I go to school away from home, so I'm used to going, a couple months without seeing my mom and my dad, and my brother, and being at home.
Which is tough.
But it was like 5 months, it was
terrible.
Yeah, it was almost half a year before I was able to get home again. So that was hard on me mentally. And it was well documented, but not having hockey and sports as a distraction was another thing that was really hard about it. Yeah. So any way you slice it, I'm just glad to have hockey back. I don't care if it's May, June, July, August, September, October, whatever. Like, if hockey's on from 3 a.m. till, 8 p.m, I'll watch it steady. That's just where I'm at right now. I'm staying up for all the late games, driving my girlfriend nuts because there's always hockey on. But I mean,
he's a trooper, for sure.
Yeah, she is a trooper. She, my better half, definitely. But no, like it's at this point, I was just so starved for sports and starved for hockey that I'm just glad to have it back in any sense of the word.
At Brandon Maki _ is the Twitter handle. Make sure to follow him. Now I'm looking at the TV right now. Marc Bergevin just announced. It was announced earlier today. Claude Julien, unfortunately, hospitalized due to chest pains. Hopefully, it's not a heart attack or anything. Obviously, we sent the best wishes to him. I just wanted to put that in here because we're not going to have. Yeah, exactly. We're not going to have in this podcast. It's going to be this interview, the puppy at the beginning, like you just saw or listened or heard, whatever. And then we're going to have a little bit more Kittle Kelce talk. I think that's going to be it. But I just wanted to throw it in there. I honestly, I don't care about the rivalry. Human Live is more important than a rivalry, and I hope Claude Julien comes through this better than ever.
Yeah, one of the truly good people in hockey as well. My dad actually played with Claude Julien for the Windsor Spitfires, and
there you go. There's a connection right there.
Yeah, and he has nothing good to say about Claude, and and you nailed it, like you said. Habs rivalry aside, all the best to him. Wishing him the best of health, and that he'll be back behind the bench coaching soon.
Now, before I let you go, we're running here for about like 32, 33 minutes. So I'm wondering, what's your thoughts today? owner Jerry Jones announced that there will be fans in the stands in Dallas for the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. I'm sure Jacksonville and all the Florida teams will have fans as well, Tampa Bay, because that's Florida, and they seem to be more lenient there. They don't really care. So I'm wondering, what's your take on things for the NFL and their season before I let you go, and the fans in the stands in general?
What do you think my take is, Brandon?
Hey, I'm just the interviewer. You're the one that's going to answer it.
What have I been saying since the beginning of this whole coronavirus pandemic?
Stay home, stay safe, stay healthy.
Yeah. If we haven't learned by now, I don't even know what to say at this point. We're almost into September. Yeah. And you still have people that think in the fall during flu season that they're going to be able to pack stands of 80,000 or 40,000 or whatever. It's ridiculous. It's completely and utterly asinine that this is even a thought. Like the New Orleans Saints. I hate the New Orleans Saints. I hate them. You know what I mean? Like, cannot stand them. But they came out and said week 1 against Tampa Bay, there won't be fans. Good on them.
Yep.
That's what everyone should be doing. I don't care if it's open air.
Put health before dollars.
Yeah, like what more do we have to learn? I'm not even convinced we're going to get through the NFL season.
Well, the MLB is getting through it, so I don't see why the NFL won't, but it's going to be tough for sure.
MLB ain't going to get through it.
Knowing Rob Manfred, they're going to – I'm going to be very careful with what I say here, but I think the MLB is in a position where if they don't finish the season, this will have a long-term repercussions on the league itself. Now, do I think what the MLB is doing is dumb and irresponsible? Yeah, of course. I think this is the whole system they've, set up is completely asinine. But that being said, for the future of the league itself, it is what it is.
Yeah, and I get it. And I get that the job of commissioners and the job of people in power in these major sports leagues is to make money. But come on, man. Like, we're in an extenuating circumstance right now. And what continues to baffle my mind, both in terms of public health measures and sports, we've seen what works.
Yeah.
We've seen how to fight this virus and how to keep it at bay and have it not impact and make it have a minimal impact on our lives. And even then, it hasn't been foolproof. So, and just sticking purely to sports, we've seen what works. We've seen that the bubble method is the way to go. It's worked for the NBA. It's worked for the NHL.
Yeah.
So this continued selfish stubbornness that is motivating these owners and commissioners and whoever to just kind of close their eyes, plug their ears, and go la 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 la. And in the face of this pandemic, it blows. Like, I want to get angry, but I'm just incredulous at this point. Like, I can't even get angry because I'm just surprised. I'm surprised and I'm appalled. Like, that's the best way to put it. It's disgusting to me.
I completely agree. And my first instinct, I'm not going to get into politics once again. Politics and this podcast are two very different things. You want to hear my opinion on politics? I will run for public office one day. You can vote for me then if you like my opinions. And I'm not
my vote.
Yeah, thank you. But that being said, my first thought is to the small business owners who are being screwed all over America, screwed all over Canada. These are the backbones of our economies. These are the backbones of our nations. These are the middle-class people that we need to support. And we all know all these politicians, they never support us. And when you have these stadiums opening up, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80,000 people, you bet your ass there's going to be a second wave. And all I'm thinking about is these restaurants who are getting hammered, these small business, mom and pop shops who are getting shut down, these small barbershops, whatever, any small business, okay? Mm-hmm. They're getting screwed over. And this is not going to help.
No.
This may have small-term positive effects for restaurants, but in the long term of things, not only are we putting public health at risk, we're also putting the economic future of our country here in Canada and America at risk. There's no benefit to this, and unfortunately, unless local authorities say something, and they probably will, You can't do anything about it. It's a business. It's a private company. And, I'm not saying the government should have the authority to tell a private company what to do. But what I'm saying is it's a damn shame that the private company won't put the public health at first. Even though, yes, I know the bottom line is important. Don't you want there to be fans next time there's games? If you have all these people going to stadiums and the virus starts to spread, it's just a bad look.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we're not going to have college football either this year, which, I mean, I'm a football junkie, like football.
I'm happy they're canceling.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no reason.
Exactly. And for me, hockey was my first love, but football made me who I am. Yeah. So it depresses me when that kind of thing isn't going to happen. All my brothers at U of T, they don't get a season this year.
The damn shame.
It is. But it's just the way it works. So that's what I mean, right? I want to watch football more than anybody.
Yeah.
Look at my team this year. My team just added Tom Brady. You don't think I want to watch football?
Move. Yeah.
But the thing is, and we could have been so far ahead of this right now, especially in the United States where you have they can't even agree on whether or not they should be wearing masks. I said, it's just exasperating that we're this far into this thing, and we still can't come to a consensus about how to handle it. I think we would be a lot closer to having people in stadiums had we done the right things from the get-go.
Just look at Australia right now with the rugby league.
Yeah, and they've just had to shut down some major regions as well because they had a major spike.
Don't use that as an example.
well, no, it's a fair example.
Yeah. They had the opportunity. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, yeah, and it's the only way to learn from this thing is through failure because we've never been here before. Sure. So there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs and there's going to be spikes and there's going to be lulls. But the key is learning from it. And until we're ready to accept what works and commit to not doing what doesn't work, we're going to continue to have these problems and these things, these creature comforts that we love, like football and, sports in general, they're going to continue to be in jeopardy.
Now, I'm wondering, college football, before we wrap things up here, we've had a nice conversation. That's why I'm happy to have you on, because we're able to have a conversation. I had a few things written down for this, but that's it. Camera got all blurry. But I'll just throw that on the floor, I guess. I'll pick that up later. But essentially, I'm trying to ask you, college football, who's your team?
I don't have one.
Thank God. Okay, good.
Yeah, no, I'm just
I was about to get mad for a second. I was like, hey, don't say Clemson.
No, I do like Clemson. I'm a sucker for good defensive teams, good defensive structures, and Clemson is certainly that. But in terms of college football, I'm just a fan of the game, man. I just love athletes building their careers and, taking themselves from these kids who may not have otherwise had an opportunity and turning themselves into NFL superstars. And I like the wide openness of it. Like I said, I'm a defensive guy, but you can't not love the high-powered offense in college football. It's so exciting and it's so much fun to watch. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't really have a team, but I just enjoy watching the big-ticket games.
Do you like the Syracuse Orange by chance?
I don't dislike them.
I'll take that as a good answer, I guess.
Yeah, I'm kind of indifferent. Is that your team?
That's my team, baby.
That's an interesting team, man.
Hey, listen, Eric Dungey, one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league, man. In the ACC, anyways. That guy was a stud. Tommy DeVito had a bad year last year, but the O-line was terrible. But Dino Babers, one of the best coaches in the ACC, in my opinion. That guy I'll run through a wall for that guy. The way he fires up the boys in the locker room is inspirational as hell. But we have sort of ran out of time here. I don't want to keep you for too long. I know you got a dog and stuff. So I'm wondering, Brandon, where can people watch, listen, and follow you all over the internet?
Well, you plugged my Twitter earlier. Thank you for that. It's at @BrandonMackey_. The writing can always be found at silver7sens.com. That is until they have the good sense to get rid of me. And as far as the podcast goes, it's Internal Budget. You can find the Twitter account. It's just, again, at Internal Budget. And the podcast is on Google, Spotify, and iTunes.
Sense Talk, yours truly, Brandon Plant here, was on it like 2 or 3 times already. So be sure, 3 times now because the live stream. So be sure
most of anybody.
Yeah, it's an absolute honor. Same with you. This is the first double interview we've done, and I'm guarantee you the next 2 months we'll probably have you on again. So, and of course on SENS Talk we'll have you on. So Brandon, it's always a pleasure having you on. I look forward to speaking to you soon, man. And once again, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me, man. Talk soon.
All right, and now let's head to whatever. I don't know what I'm going to call the segment, but we're going to head and talk about George Kittle, the people's tight end, and of course Travis Kelce and their big contract extensions. Let's get to that right now. Today was a great day to be a tight end in the National Football League. But before we get into that, Brandon Maki, pleasure to have on the show. Welcome back anytime. Thanks again for joining. Now let's get into the news of the day for tight ends in the National Football League as your 49ers have signed the people's tight end, George Kittle. The 49ers reached a 5-year, $75 million extension with the top tight end in the league. The Niners are making George Kittle the highest paid tight end in NFL history by quite a bit. The Niners and Kittle agreed to a 5-year, $75 million contract today. League sources confirmed to ESPN. The deal was first reported by Barstool Sports, Big Cat, and PFT from Part of My Take, the podcast. Shout out to them, which reports Kittle received $40 million guaranteed for injury and $30 million guaranteed at the signing. With the deal, which has been expected for most of the offseason, he easily surpasses the 4-year, $42 million contract Austin Hooper signed with the Cleveland Browns earlier in March. Let's talk about George Kittle, the people's tight end. What's so special about George Kittle? Not only is he's a dominant Not only is he a dominant receiver, not only is he a dominant blocker, he's also a 2-time Pro Bowler, a 1-time All-Pro, most receiving yards in a season by a tight end with 1,377 of all time. Most receiving yards in half by a tight end, 210. That was the first half against Denver. The interesting fact about that, he did not have a single yard in the second half of that game against Denver, but he still had 210 yards in the first half, which is insane. The first tight end to lead the league in yards after catch with 870. May we remind you about that play against the New Orleans Saints, where it was 4th and 2, game on the line, 45 seconds left. George Kittle catches the ball and brings 4 New Orleans Saints to the party, drives 30 yards down the field at least. One of the best plays I've ever seen live. I was losing my losing my mind, literally 5 feet over there. And the Niners ended up kicking the field goal. Robbie Gould, good as gold, but the Niners won that one. George Kittle is legitimately a game changer. Most receiving yards in the first 3 seasons by a tight end, 2,945 yards. George Kittle, can't believe I mispronounced his name. No disrespect to Mr. George. I love you. Definitely going to buy your 1994 jersey, the Niners' new white classic jerseys inspired from the 94 season. But George Kittle, well-deserved, easily the best player on the 49ers. Kittle's 2019 stats. Last season, he had 85 receptions, 1,053 yards, 5 TDs, and 12.4 yards per reception. George Kittle's rise to the top of the ranking among tight ends has been quite entertaining to watch, especially as a 49ers fan. In 2017, with an absolutely terrible 49ers squad, he was a pretty good rookie. That's what my chief editor, Noah Luden, wrote. He was an exceptional rookie. His second season was when he exploded for 1,377 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. Kittle is also consistently used as a blocker. He's one of the best, if not the best, tight end at blocking. Let me rephrase that. He is the best tight end at blocking. He is the best tight end at receiving. This guy can do it all. He'll steamroll you to get that first down, Raheem Mostert, so he can run and get that first down. He'll steamroll you through you after catching the ball. They get that touchdown so the team can win or get the yards needed to win. George Kittle is the ultimate team player, and I'm so happy the 49ers have signed this guy. There was at a time earlier in the last few months that the Niners may screw this up because we've all seen what happened with Jim Harbaugh. We all seen what happened with when they blew up after losing in 2013 to the Ravens in the Super Bowl. Now they locked him up. They locked Lynch up. They locked Shanahan up. Jimmy Garoppolo is signed long-term. Bang, bang, Niner gang. The future looks really bright. And speaking of bright futures, the Kansas City Chiefs, they signed the second best tight end in the league, in my opinion, Travis Kelce, to a 4-year, $57.25 million extension. The Chiefs continue to spend to retain stars from their Super Bowl championship team from last season. Yes, I know they beat the 49ers in the comment section below. I know y'all are going to roast me for that, but that is the way it is. That fourth quarter, Brandon Maki and I actually spoke about that. The Chiefs' offense really just overpowered the amazing Niners defense. But a lot of that had to do with Hardman and Tyreek Hill and, of course, Travis Kelce. But that championship team, they're keeping it together. And it starts with this 4-year, $57.25 million extension with tight end Travis Kelce. A source told ESPN's Adam Schefter. A source told ESPN's Jeremy Fowler that the deal includes just under $25 million in guarantees. The average annual value is slightly less than what the Niners gave to tight end George Kittle after agreeing to a 5-year, $75 million extension. Kelce and Kittle are widely considered the NFL's top players at the position. I think Kittle's here. I think Kelce's here. I think Kittle just has it all. I think not only is George Kittle able to block, he's able to catch. Travis Kelce, he ain't a terrible player. The guy can ball, and he can ball for sure. 5-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, and 1-time Super Bowl in the 2019, which ended up with a dub over your 49ers. So in 2019, Kelce had 97 receptions, 1,229 yards, 5 TDs, just like George Kittle, and 12.7 yards per reception. And keep in mind, that is all on a team with Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Hardman, Sammy Watkins, plenty of offensive weapons to be thrown to, and Kelce is getting a lot of that share. Travis Kelce has been one of the top tight ends in the NFL since he entered the league in 2014, where he led the Chiefs in receiving yards as a rookie with 862. In 2015, he made his first Pro Bowl, and he would go to the Pro Bowl every year after that, and I don't see why he won't next year either. In 2019, he got his 4th straight 1,000-yard season. Kelce hasn't ever had a season where he had less than 5 touchdowns. Even in his rookie year, he had 5. So Kelce is one of the most consistent tight ends in the league, especially for fantasy. But once again, George Kittle, long-term extension. Travis Kelce, long-term extension. So congratulations to both. And it's kind of ironic, the 2 top tight ends in the league with the 2 teams that faced off against each other in the Super Bowl last year got these contracts done. So good job to both of these respective general managers. And welcome back, Bang Bang Niner Gang, George Kittle. So thank you all for watching and listening to this episode. It was a great episode. It was great to have a casual conversation with Brandon Maki. I'm glad you guys got to see Brady. Cutest dog ever. Such a cute doggy. But besides that, thank you all for watching. So please follow us on our social medias at SENS Podcast. That's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. As well, please follow my personal Twitter account at @SENSOC_. Lots of great content there. So be sure to check me out there. As well, check us out on all 5 streaming platforms. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I said 5. It's 5. That's on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, and of course here on YouTube. Click the big red button down there and make it great, and subscribe to us as well. Click the notifications buttons so you can get notified every single time we make a new video or upload a new podcast episode. Besides that, this has been a really casual but fun interview to do. Great episode to do, and I look forward to next week, and stay tuned for updates on that. Thank you all for watching. Stay safe, and we'll see you very soon.